and we are going deep on one of the biggest, most ingrained myths in modern organizational life.
Yeah, it's this fundamental belief about what actually makes us go.
Right.
We can call it Motivation 2.0. It's the operating system we've all been running on for a very long time.
Decades. Every institution from, kindergarten classrooms to global corporations has relied on it.
Exactly.
And that's the one where the world runs entirely on carrots and sticks, right?
That one.
The idea is just so elegantly simple.
Mm-hmm.
If you want someone to do something, you offer a reward. If you want them to stop, you offer a punishment.
Money and fear. Those are the primary and maybe the only reliable drivers in that model.
And this was cemented way back, scientific management in the early 1900s. It sort of views humans as, parts in a machine?
Pretty much. Provide the correct external inputs, rewards, punishments, and the system gives you the desired output, compliance, performance.
But what decades of serious behavioral science now prove is that this assumption is deeply, maybe fatally flawed.
It really is. There's a mismatch.
So, okay, let's unpack that. Today, we're going to find the user manual for what truly drives us.
Mm-hmm.
We need a software upgrade.
And we're going to introduce the third drive, which is built entirely on 3 essential innate human needs.
Intrinsic motivation.
That's it. And its elements are the blueprint for high performance in the 21st century. Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. We call it AMP.
So if Motivation 2.0 is so flawed, where did the foundation first start to crumble? Because I'm guessing it wasn't business executives who first challenged this.
Oh, no, not at all. The first cracks appeared in the lab, trying to understand, basic behavior. Our starting point is this baffling set of experiments from 1949.
With Harry Harlow's monkeys.
With his rhesus monkeys, yes. Harlow gave them these complex mechanical puzzles.
And what was so surprising?
They just solved them. They solved the puzzle simply because they found it gratifying. There was no outside incentive needed at all.
So they were doing this complex work purely for the joy of the task.
Right.
That already feels like a big challenge to the carrot and stick model. But here's the key part. What happened when Harlow tried to reinforce that behavior with a reward?
This is where it gets really counterintuitive.
Huh?
When he introduced extrinsic rewards food, like raisins' performance was actively disrupted, the monkeys made more errors.
More errors.
Yeah, and they solved the puzzles less frequently. The food, the external reward, it actually got in the way of their focus on the internal gratification.
That is just wild. Rewards actively making performance worse in primates.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to believe that translates to complex human behavior in, say, a corporate setting.
But it does.
There's proof.
Absolutely. You fast forward 2 decades, and you get the same confounding results with Edward Dacey's 1969 Soma puzzle experiment.
This one was with university students.
Yes. Dacey split them into 2 groups. Group A was paid a small sum for solving puzzles on day 2. Group B was never paid.
Okay, so then the money was suddenly removed on day 3. What did the paid group do?
Well, Dacey watched what students did during a free choice period. They could read, nap, or keep playing with the puzzle.
Yeah.
The never paid group, Group B, they kept playing with the puzzle. They just genuinely enjoyed it. But the group that had been paid, Group A, they spent significantly less time playing.
So they lost their intrinsic interest.
They lost it.
So using money as an external reward for something that's already interesting, it can actually poison the well.
It can. It gives you a short-term boost, maybe.
But you risk reducing a person's longer-term self-driven motivation to keep going once the money is gone.
Precisely. It's like watching a plant wilt the moment you take away the artificial light. That fragile third, drive intrinsic motivation, it needs the right environment to survive.
And these external control systems, especially if-then rewards,
They tend to undermine it.
This brings us to what we're calling the Sawyer effect.
Huh.
After Tom Sawyer convincing his friends that whitewashing a fence was some kind of special privilege, not a chore.
Right. Rewards perform this weird sort of behavioral alchemy. They turn play into work.
And that transformation has deadly flaws when you apply it to non-routine creative work.
The kind of work that defines the modern economy. Let's look at 3 areas where these incentives give us less of what we actually want.
Okay, start with creativity. The idea that paying someone to be creative makes them less creative seems like pure fiction.
It's fact, proven by the classic candle problem.
I know this one. You're given a candle, matches, and a box of tacks.
And you're asked to attach the candle to the wall without dripping wax. The solution requires overcoming functional fixedness.
You have to see the tack box as a platform, not just a container.
Exactly.
So when one group was offered cash for speed, what happened?
The group with the cash reward took, on average, 3.5 minutes longer to solve the problem.
Longer.
3.5 minutes longer than the non-incentivized group. The reward narrowed their focus. They were so intent on the prize, they couldn't see the creative break they needed.
So rewards are good if the path is obvious.
But they're terrible when you need to deviate and come up with something new.
That sounds like every frustrating brainstorming session I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Okay, what about just sheer performance on complex tasks? You'd think massive rewards would guarantee top results.
You would think. But a study in Madura, India tested this. They offered 3 reward tiers for tasks needing concentration and motor skills.
Small, medium, and
very large, up to 5 months' pay.
wow.
And what happened? In 8 of the 9 tasks, higher incentives led to worse performance.
Worse.
The highest incentivized group performed worst of all. The pressure was just too distracting.
So that simple business idea, higher rewards, higher performance, it only holds up for the most basic tasks.
The most rudimentary, algorithmic ones.
Okay, finally, the cost of turning an altruistic act into a commercial one.
Look at the Swedish blood donation experiment. When women were offered 50 kroner to donate blood,
The donation rate went down.
it fell from 52% when it was voluntary to 30%. The money completely tainted the altruistic act. It turned a moral obligation into a simple, easily dismissed transaction.
That's compelling.
Yeah.
But let's be fair. Motivation 2.0 isn't totally useless, is it? When is it okay to use rewards?
That's the ampersand section. And there's an absolute rule here. Extrinsic rewards must only be used for routine, algorithmic tasks.
Things with a clear pathway, not much creativity needed, like stuffing envelopes.
Exactly. There's little intrinsic motivation to undermine in those tasks, so the reward is just a small, harmless boost.
And even then, you can't just toss the reward out there without some context. You have to protect morale.
Absolutely. When you're using rewards for routine tasks, you have to do 3 things. First, offer a rationale for why the task matters.
Connected to a bigger purpose.
Second, acknowledge that the task is boring. That's just empathy. And third, allow autonomy over how the task gets done, the technique.
That makes a huge difference.
Okay.
But what if you do need to incentivize creative work? We've established that the if-then reward is poisonous. What's the better way?
You shift to now that reward.
Now that
These are unexpected bonuses given after the task is complete. Because they aren't anticipated, they're much less likely to be seen as the reason for doing the work.
And for creative work, the focus should be on non-tangible rewards.
Almost entirely. Specific, positive feedback. Sincere praise that focuses on effort and strategy, not just the outcome.
All right, if that's the danger in the narrow path, let's talk about the solution. The new motivational blueprint. Type I behavior, powered by autonomy, mastery, and purpose.
This is the operating system upgrade for the modern economy.
Let's start with autonomy. The desire for self-direction.
Autonomy is key. And it's not independence, it's about acting with choice. It shows up best through autonomy over the 4 T's: task, time, technique, and team.
The classic example for task is 3M's old bootlegging policy, right?
Yes, that policy allowed technical staff to spend up to 15% of their time on their own projects.
And it worked.
It led directly to the invention of Post-it notes. Google did something similar with their 20% time. Giving people freedom over what they work on is a massive engine for innovation.
And autonomy over time and technique, when and how the work gets done. That's ROWE, the results-only work environment.
ROWE from Best Buy. It just flips the script on that clock-watching culture. Employees have full freedom over their time and place as long as the work gets done.
And the results.
Teams under ROWE saw productivity increase by 35%. The focus shifted entirely to the output, not the input.
And finally, autonomy over team choosing who you work with.
You see this organically in open source projects, but you also see it in places like Whole Foods, where employees actually vote on hiring new teammates after a trial period.
People are just more satisfied and perform better when they have a say.
Of course.
Moving to the second element, mastery. The urge to get better at something that matters. This is tied to Csikszentmihalyi's concept of flow, isn't it?
Flow is essential. He showed that if people are deprived of activities that bring flow, they start to show symptoms similar to anxiety disorders. It's not a luxury, it's the oxygen of the soul.
And achieving mastery involves understanding its 3 peculiar laws. The first is about mindset.
The first law is that mastery is a mindset. Carol Dweck's research is definitive here. You need a growth mindset, believing your ability can be developed through effort.
Rather than a fixed mindset where
Yeah.
ability is just finite.
Exactly. Type I behavior is about seeking learning goals over performance goals. You see effort as the path to improvement.
And the second law, that the path is rarely easy.
Mastery is a pain. It demands intense, deliberate practice and grit, perseverance and passion for long-term goals.
For a long time.
Often over a decade. A study of West Point cadets found that grit, not raw IQ, was the best predictor of success because the path is just grueling.
And the third law, mastery is an asymptote. That's a powerful metaphor.
It is. An asymptote is a line that a curve approaches forever but never touches. Mastery is impossible to fully realize. You approach it, but you never quite reach it.
But that's the whole point.
That impossibility is the source of its allure. The joy is in the pursuit.
Our final element is purpose. The context for achievement. This is the big distinction between Motivation 2.0, all about profit, and 3.0, about purpose.
And purpose maximization is transforming everything. We see new entities like B Corp emerging. Take Tom's Shoes, they're a for-profit company.
But they use profit as a catalyst to give away shoes.
They're inherently purpose-driven, and that attracts and retains Type I talent.
And purpose shows up in policies designed to fight burnout.
Look at the Mayo Clinic, a very high-pressure place. They found that letting doctors spend 1 day a week on the most meaningful part of their job.
Whether it's research or patient care.
Right. That resulted in half the burnout rate compared to those who didn't have that choice. It injected purpose back into their work.
And finally, Robert Reich's simple diagnostic, the pronoun test.
It's deceptively simple. Managers just need to listen to how employees talk about the company. Do they say they are rolling out a new policy, or do they say we are moving in this direction?
They means disengagement.
Alienation. We confirms that employees feel like they're part of something meaningful. In Motivation 3.0, we always wins.
This has been a complete deconstruction of what motivates us. Now, for the application, how do we start applying this science immediately?
Let's start with compensation. The zen of compensation. The goal is to take money off the table so people can focus on the intrinsic joy of the work.
So you need fairness, internally and externally.
And crucially, you need to pay above average. Research shows paying slightly more than the market demands dramatically reduces turnover and boosts productivity.
Because you've just eliminated money as a focus of anxiety.
Exactly. You pay them enough so they can stop thinking about the paycheck and start thinking about the project.
Okay, what about at home? Parenting, education.
Yeah, those areas are just rife with Motivation 2.0 errors. We have to resist the urge to use contingent rewards at home.
So do not combine chores and allowance.
Do not. If you link them, you create the Sawyer effect at home.
Right. You turn a moral obligation helping the family into a commercial transaction.
And then kids will only set the table if they get paid. You undermine their sense of duty, keep allowance and chores totally separate.
So we've covered the core conflict. Motivation 2.0, built on control and compliance, crashes under the demands of 21st century creative work.
And Motivation 3.0, powered by autonomy, mastery, and purpose, is the necessary upgrade.
The one we need for high performance.
And this raises a final question for you, the listener, to think about. We are not born passive and compliant. If you spend any time with young children, you see that our natural default setting is active, curious, and intrinsically motivated. It's Type I behavior.
So the challenge isn't finding that motivation.
The challenge is resisting the outdated controlling structures in management, in education, that relentlessly try to switch our natural, joyful default setting off.
The ultimate freedom is the freedom to pick your own boundaries. Thanks for diving deep with us.